Well, welcome back to Soda City Live. Before the break, we were discussing details about this weekend's IFBB Pro and NPC Palmetto Classic. It's a competitive bodybuilding show and fitness show. Now we're going to check in with one of the competitors and IFBB Pro competitors, Bill. And we still have Kristen and we have Kevin with us today. Bill, so glad to have you join us. So this will be your first year as a pro, correct?
No, first time here in Palmetto.
First time at Palmetto as a pro.
Correct.
And you competed before as an amateur, though.
That's correct.
So you've already gone through this process, and so now you're giving Palmetto what you got. You're showing him. First of all, he's extremely ripped. We had to point this out. We had to, for you all at home, we wanted to make sure that we just said a tank top because we do have some pictures if we can pull them up. Just how long does it take you to create and sculpt your body in this way?
The prep itself is usually 20 to 16 weeks. You know, we stay in the gym year round. We have an off season, but typically it's a 12 to 16 week prep to get from where we want to be to being ready to go on stage and peak.
Now, I know it's extensive, so I know you probably can't tell us what you do all in those 16 weeks, but what is that diet like for you? Well, first advice would be hire a good coach. You know, it's similar to, I always like the analogy that anybody that represents himself as an idiot for a client. So if you try to do the prep on your own and you don't have eyes from someone else to see you or help you that's experienced and understands what they're doing, the diet gets excruciating. It's the carbohydrates and the depletion, and you have to, obviously it's back to Mother Nature, you have to burn more than you take in. So it gets pretty simple. But the body fat that we have to get to and the percentage of body fat that we have to get to is more difficult than people can understand. And you know, another thing I want to talk about, how old you are, your age. People would not believe it. Tell them how old you are.
I'm 56.
56.
Yep.
So how long have you been in training?
It's funny, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm a quote-unquote a gym rat my entire life, but I didn't start competing until I met Kevin about 8 years ago. I was 48 years old. I was a member of the gym, and he said, man, you need to get on stage. And I said, I'm just a gym rat. But then I fell in love with the sport, just manipulating your body with food and exercise. And of course, with Kevin at the helm, it was, you know, I just do what he tells me to do, and it works out pretty well. And so I was able to, you know, start competing. And then I say good or bad because maybe if I just started when I was 20, I wouldn't be in, you know, the shape that I'm in now because my body would have been a little bit torn up over the years. But
you look good, and you have a great coach. And Kristen is also a coach. But Kevin, I want to come back to you. As a coach, what are some of the things that you have to look out for on your client when it comes to sculpting and building?
It's really just about establishing a baseline with the diet, and if the client is willing to listen and follows direction, it usually always works out really well. I mean, as the process continues and they start to lose some body fat, you might see some areas that need a little more work, like the shoulders or the arms or whatever, so you'll see those things, maybe put a little more emphasis on those areas, but it really all comes down to diet and just dialing things in and continue to manipulate the nutrients like Bill was saying.
Now, I know you're the promoter for this event, but have you competed as well?
A bunch.
Yeah.
Never made it to the pro status, I don't know. But yeah, I've competed probably 16 times, so.
Yeah. He's a pro.
Awesome.
In our mind, he's a pro.
And you know what I'm always interested to know, because for years, I think we've all seen these bodybuilding competitions, and you never really know why a person starts or what their why is. So what was that why for you?
I lived a very different life for many years in my life, and I always wanted to get healthy and get in shape, and I always wanted to work out, and I liked seeing the guys in the magazines that were muscular and in shape, and so eventually I started going to the gym, and I just wanted to be a better version of myself, and I wanted to create a better body, and that's what I did. And same thing with Bill. I mean, once I competed the first time, I kind of got bit by the bug, and I just watching the body transform like it does it's amazing. It's something that, I mean, until you experience it's hard really to explain, but it's just amazing, and it's very fulfilling and satisfying.
I love that. And Kristen, from a female standpoint, tell us a little bit about how you got into training and building, and what it means to you as a female in this industry.
Well, I kind of accidentally ended up in the gym because my cousin was the general manager of the Gold's Gym in town and needed to sell a membership. So I spent the first 6 months on the elliptical until a local bodybuilder grabbed me and was like, come over here, lift weights. And then I thought I had just invented weightlifting. You know, give me a couple of dumbbells, and I was doing all the exercises. So then I was reading the magazines, and I just loved how glamorous the girls looked with their hair and their makeup done, and they wore high heels and jewelry, and it just looked so feminine, but it also allowed me to be competitive in an athletic way. And it just, once you do it once, you want to do better than you did the time before, because you really are just always trying to beat yourself, is probably the best way to put it.
And I'm glad you said that. For anyone out there watching that might be interested, no matter what age they are, what advice do you have to them if they're interested in becoming a bodybuilder or fitness?
Well, they definitely need to make sure that they have a strong muscularity before they start dieting for a competition. So a few years of weightlifting or training or an athletic background is very helpful if you want to get on stage. There are divisions that are less muscular, like the bikini division, where you could probably get away with less training before you got on stage, but you definitely want to make sure that you have a coach hired, so there's money involved. It is expensive to get on stage. Just the show day itself is pretty expensive. You could drop a few grand if you're not careful. And yeah, you just want to make sure you have the time, the support. It does take a lot of energy from your family, your friends. You are going to be very selfish for those 16, 20 weeks, and you're going to want to have people around you that understand that and are encouraging you and are willing to have that time away from you and do what they can to support you getting on stage, because it takes a village.
It does.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for these tips. Billy, thank you for joining us. And Kevin, thank you. Those details we'll put on the screen. This weekend at the Metropolitan Convention Center, there's one at 9, one at 4, but I say go to all of it. Stay there all day because you'll get the bang for your buck that way. And check out some of these amazing fitness experts and the amateurs that will go on to be pros. Again, those details will be on our website along with the ticketing information. But before we go, Billy, I want you to show us some moves real quick. Show us some of the moves that people are going to see on stage.
There you go.
Awesome. Ripped. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. All these details and more on our website, sodacitylive.com. Stick with us.